What's up guys, Sean here. So today we've got the DJI Mavic Mini, and I know you can't do a Waypoint mission in the app with the DJI Mavic Mini, but today I'm going to show you how using a software called Dronelink. Dronelink is a cloud-based automation website that you can create missions, pretty complicated missions. You can control your drone and have it do whatever you want it to do. They have an SDK that runs the DJI drones, and they just added the Mavic Mini to the mix, so we're going to try it out. Several months ago I created this mission for my DJI Mavic Pro. It was a very successful mission. I've made a couple tweaks to it, and what we're going to do is we're going to fly it with the DJI Mavic Mini. So let's do it, guys. Alright guys, now that you've seen the footage, let's go into Dronelink and see what the mission looks like. So here we are. This is kind of my neighborhood. As you can see, the satellite picture is only, like, all these houses exist now. This whole part of the neighborhood is here. And they're starting to build here. So they've torn down all these trees, they burned them up. I want to show you this flight plan that I did. Now I know that my house is right there. I know that this is my backyard. Okay, and all this sod right here is the green part of the grass behind my house that goes downhill. And I'll show you how I know that in a minute. But I'm not going to adjust this flight plan, I just want to show you. This is where the plan starts. So this little clipboard icon is where basically your takeoff point, and then I fly to here. So on my approach, I fly here to this destination, and I've got the altitude set to 200 feet. Okay, and it's give or take 15 feet, so it could be off with a tolerance of 15 feet. Okay, and there were parts where it was like 196 feet up in the air. And then I basically have the path go over to here, and then swing around here, and then come around, and you can see the path, and the path comes all the way up to here. And then I fly over to the top of my house. Well, I don't fly to the top of my house. I fly, I start an orbit from this direction and fly around the house. And then from here, I fly over and do a 360-degree photo here. And then that's the end of my flight path. Okay? The other thing to notice, I've got this point right here. This is my point of interest. So basically, when I put this point on the map, it asks you where you want to start this point of interest. So from point 1, I basically fly from the takeoff point to point 1, and then I turn and look at the point of interest, and then I look at the point of interest through this entire flight. So how this differs from orbit is I have, a plot of land that's not a circle. I want to do a plot of land, but I still kind of want to look in the middle of it. So I've got this little point of interest here. So let me show you the components. So what I've got in this flight plan, the first thing I do is I set the return to home altitude at 200 feet. So I know that this tallest tree right here is about 60 feet. I know this house, my house is not 100 feet tall. And then, most of this area is gone, but this is a slight hill that goes up this direction. So I wanted to make sure I cleared all these trees, and I don't know what's going to be there in the future. So I wanted to go ahead and do a 200-foot tolerance so I can get around it. So that's my altitude. Start the video simple. So let's look at this component. So camera stop capture. So what that does, just in case the drone is recording already, it stops the recording. It changes the camera mode to video. So if you're in photo mode, if your drone's in photo mode, it automatically switches it to video, and then camera start capture. And what that little piece of code does is it tells you to start recording because you're in video mode. Okay? So now I know that as soon as I start the plan, it's going to execute this. It's going to set the altitude for 200. It's going to start my video. I set the gimbal mode to FPV, so it kind of has a little turn, but it doesn't really turn that much because it has this point of interest, so that's kind of a waste. And then here's my path, and I've got the approach. Here I set 200 feet, so this entire flight path right here is 200 feet up in the air. I've got one point of interest, I've got 7 waypoints and 1 marker, and I believe this is a marker as well. Alright, and so I fly this flight plan, and then I go to an orbit. Now I changed the orbit to 150 feet up in the air, but I might go back and tweak that to 100 feet, because I'll show you once you see the video, the orbit's pretty high. and I think I can go lower. And then here I want to stop recording, so I put that there, and then I did a 360-degree video right there. Okay. All right, guys. So what we're looking at now is the Dronelink app on the iPhone. So you'll notice that it's got all the telemetry on it, but as far as the controls, it's pretty primitive because the application itself is controlling the flight. So you don't really need to know, how to control it, where to point it, all that kind of stuff. The application is taking it over. I will say there was some confusion in my last video about flying from a desktop app or anything like that. You either download the app on Android or iOS and you use that to fly. It's using the SDK from DJI itself, so you don't have to worry about it being like some third party trying to control your drone. The SDK actually comes from DJI, so you can fly with confidence that your drone is going to come back to you. But if you program the mission wrong, there's a good chance that it could fly exactly where you tell it to, and you might make some calculations wrong. You might be too low and hit a tree, or you might be click a mission that's in a location that you are not at. So if you pick up the wrong mission and that mission's 100 miles away, it might fly to that first point, or try to fly to that first point. But we're going to sit back and just watch. In my last video, there was a comment that somebody wanted to see the telemetry. So here's the telemetry for the entire flight. So enjoy. Okay, so the mission is almost over as far as the first point of interest, and you're going to notice the drone is going to freak out a little bit, but all it's doing is going to the next point in the mission. So this is kind of B-roll. It's freaking out. It's flying really fast. It's a little bit windy, and the Mini can't handle the wind that well. So we're going to the orbit. We're pointing at the house, and now we're going to do an orbit around the house. And you might see me peek out from the patio back there. But now here's a really cool orbit. So what I'm demonstrating here is just the ability to do several different types of flights, get a bunch of different shots from one mission. So going in, if you have a plan that, okay, I want to orbit a house, like let's say you're doing real estate. I want to orbit the house, I want to fly, you know, up the driveway and then straight up, or, you know, you want to drive down, fly down the street, get all your missions in. You want to do a 360 photo from the front, from the back. You want to do a virtual tour of the neighborhood, little things like that. You can program all of this into one mission and then let it go. What I'm excited about in the pointing at the construction site is I'm going to be able to run this mission later when they start building houses and maybe do an overlay. Okay. So now what we're doing is we are going to the last stop of this mission. We got a minute left, and it's going to go over to the intersection and record photos, not record photos, but take photos for a 360-degree photo. And then I'm going to stitch it together using Microsoft Ice, which is a free application that you guys can download. There'll be links in the description for that application. And yeah, overall pretty awesome, guys. Most people kind of don't understand the purpose of a 360-degree photo, but I'm going to show you in a second that that the quality is amazing. The final photo was like 19,000 pixels. So if you think about a 4K video is like 3,800 and something pixels wide, 19,000 pixels wide is huge. And so I've narrowed it down to 8,000 by 4,000, thrown it into Final Cut Pro, so you guys can see just the quality of this image. And I'll do a fly around. And it's all done by stitching these images together. So it's pretty cool. All right, now the mission is accomplished. So the drone is flying back to home by itself. Something that I didn't mention at the very beginning was I had to arm the drone and then take off manually. And I flew up to about 100 feet up in the air, so I knew I was above the trees, and then I started the mission. So I would encourage you to get up in the air and then fly to your first point, just to make sure that you don't hit a tree on the way to your first point. I think that can be a common mistake that people would make. So get up in the air, get up to a safe altitude where you know you're not going to hit anything, and then start the mission, and you'll be good to go. Alright, that was it. That was a successful mission with DJI Mavic Mini. Hope you guys liked this video. Please like, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell for notifications for when I put out more videos about drones, autonomous flights with drones, action cameras, live streaming, all the good stuff. Hope you have a wonderful day, and peace out, guys.